The Zephyrian patrol cruiser Stellar Wind had been monitoring the outer rim of the Kepler sector for 3 standard cycles when their sensors detected the anomaly. Captain Vextai's 4 eyes narrowed as she studied the readings on her command console, her chitinous fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Communications Officer Krival, what are you seeing?" She clicked in the melodious Zephyrian tongue. Krival's antennae twitched nervously. "Unknown vessel, Captain. Configuration, unlike anything in our databases. It's moving at impossible speeds through our territory without proper clearance codes." The bridge fell silent except for the gentle hum of the ship's bioluminescent panels. The Zephyrian Confederation had maintained peace in this sector for over 2 centuries, their advanced technology and diplomatic prowess ensuring that conflicts remained minimal. They had cataloged every known species, every ship design, every propulsion system in their quadrant of the galaxy. This vessel was none of those things. "Size?" Captain Vextai inquired, her secondary arms adjusting the tactical display. "Approximately 800 meters in length. Crude construction by our standards, but—" Krival paused, his voice taking on a puzzled tone. "Captain, it's generating a gravitational field that shouldn't be possible with that level of technology. The readings are contradictory." Through the transparent aluminum viewport, they could see the approaching vessel. It was angular, utilitarian, with none of the flowing organic curves that marked civilized spacefaring races. Weapon ports dotted its hull like scars, and strange markings in an unknown script ran along its sides. "Standard first contact protocols," Captain Vextai ordered. "Open a channel on all frequencies." The communication array activated, sending out the universal greeting sequence that had served the Confederation well for millennia. Mathematical progressions, star charts, peaceful intentions, all broadcast in a carefully crafted message designed to establish diplomatic contact with any intelligent species. For long moments, only static answered them. Then, cutting through the cosmic background radiation like a blade through silk, came a response that would forever change the Zephyrian understanding of their place in the universe. "Unknown Zephyrian vessel, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Determination operating under authority of Earth Control. You are interfering with our navigation corridor. Please adjust your heading to bearing 27 Mark IV and maintain minimum safe distance." The bridge erupted in confusion. Translator arrays worked frantically to process the alien language. But it was Officer Krival who spoke first, his voice barely a whisper. "Captain, did they say Earth Control?" Every Zephyrian on the bridge felt their exoskeletons grow cold. Earth Control. The words that had become legend, whispered in the darkest corners of galactic civilization. The designation that struck fear into the hearts of species across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. Captain Vextai's compound eyes widened to their maximum aperture. "Confirm that transmission, Krival. Now." "Confirmed, Captain. They identify as humans." The word hung in the recycled atmosphere like a toxin. Humans. The species that had appeared seemingly from nowhere 50 years ago and carved through, established galactic order like a stellar hurricane through a gas cloud. The ones who had taken on the hegemony fleet and won. The beings who fought not just with superior technology, but with a ferocity and determination that defied every model of civilized behavior. Stories traveled faster than light through quantum entanglement networks. Stories of human vessels ramming dreadnoughts 10 times their size. Tales of human soldiers continuing to fight even after sustaining wounds that would kill any other species. Accounts of human colonies that refused to surrender even when faced with complete annihilation, choosing instead to detonate their own worlds rather than submit to conquest. The Confederation had spent decades hoping they would never encounter the legendary species. Their own territory was far from the contested zones where humans battled the galaxy's ancient powers. they had believed themselves safe in their peaceful corner of space. "Captain," the tactical officer, Morden, announced with barely controlled panic. "I'm reading 37 more vessels dropping out of hyperspace. All human design, all armed." Through the viewport, the sleek forms of human ships materialized like predators from the void. They moved with precision that spoke of military discipline, forming a perfect defensive sphere around the determination. Each vessel bristled with weapon systems that seemed primitive by Zephyrian standards, but had proven devastatingly effective against far more advanced opponents. Captain Vextai forced her breathing spiracles to remain steady. First contact. Protocols had not prepared her for this moment. The Confederation had procedures for meeting new species, guidelines for diplomatic engagement, frameworks for peaceful coexistence. They had no protocols for encountering the galaxy's most feared warrior race. "Captain Chen," Vextai transmitted, hoping her translator was functioning properly. "This is Captain Vextai of the Zephyrian Confederation vessel Stellar Wind. We welcome you to our space. How may we assist you?" The response came with characteristic human directness. "Captain Vextai, we're conducting a mapping expedition in this sector. Our charts show this region as unclaimed space. Are you asserting territorial sovereignty?" Unclaimed space. The humans didn't even know they were in Confederation territory. They had simply arrived, as was their nature, taking what they needed, without regard for the careful diplomatic structures that governed galactic civilization. And yet something in Captain Chen's tone suggested she was genuinely asking, not demanding. There was no threat in her words, no aggressive posturing, just a simple question from one military officer to another. For the first time since the humans had identified themselves, Captain Vextai felt her fear begin to recede. Perhaps the stories were incomplete. Perhaps there was more to these legendary beings than endless warfare and unstoppable determination. "Captain Chen," she replied carefully, "this sector has been under Confederation protection for 2 centuries. However, we would be honored to discuss mapping rights and safe passage agreements. Would you be willing to engage in formal, diplomatic contact?" There was a pause that seemed to last eons. Then, to the amazement of every being on the bridge, Captain Chen's response carried what could only be described as relief. "Captain Vextai, that would be greatly appreciated. Earth Control has strict orders about respecting established territorial claims. We're explorers and scientists first, despite what you may have heard. Would you be willing to meet aboard a neutral station to begin negotiations?" As arrangements began for what would become the first formal treaty between Earth Control and the Zephyrian Confederation, Captain Vextai reflected on the day's events. The humans were indeed as formidable as the legends claimed, their technology impressive despite its crude appearance, their discipline evident in every movement of their fleet. But they were also, she realized, fundamentally reasonable beings who preferred negotiation to conquest when given the choice. The galaxy, it seemed, still held surprises, even for species that thought they knew everything about the cosmic neighborhood. And perhaps, Captain Vextai thought, as she prepared for humanity's next chapter in galactic history, that was exactly how it should be.